Want to update you on the tropics. Two systems we are keeping a very, very close eye to. We have Franklin, which is now a Category 4 hurricane. That system really, really intense, very impressive. And then we have Idalia, and that's the one that will have the greatest impacts on Hampton Roads, potentially down the road. We're going to talk about that. First of all, there's Franklin. Look at how beautiful that eye is, so clear. That's just a gorgeous storm there. Very powerful, as I mentioned, a Category 4 hurricane, and it is moving off to the north. Here's Bermuda, here's Hampton Roads, and you can see the Outer Banks. It's going to pass in between and turn off to the northeast. Then we have Idalia, and this one is getting a little bit better organized. It is going to continue to strengthen, and it is forecast to become a hurricane, possibly a major hurricane, before making landfall around Florida. And we'll show you that in just a moment. But here's Franklin again, moving off. You can see very clear definition of the eye, the spiraling here, some of the outer bands spiraling out, so good venting with that. It's just a very healthy, robust hurricane. Now, Idalia is not looking as impressive, but we also have a little bit of outflow. You can see some of that clockwise outflow. Of course, the low-level circulation in the core of this thing, it is very cyclonic. It's a tropical storm, and we're seeing some more convection near the center of this, so it is trying to intensify, and it is forecast to do that as it moves up into the Gulf of Mexico. So I want to show you two different models here that I have superimposed on each other. You have the GFS model, or the American model. That's showing up in yellow, and then in red just below that we have the European model. Now again, these are just global models, but I wanted to kind of take them forward in time so you can see how things progress. Here we go. We'll stop it here at 7 a.m. Wednesday. You'll notice the GFS model has the center of Idalia here, while the Euro has it centered closer to Florida. There's Franklin. Again, Franklin is going to stay well offshore, so not going to be a problem for us. We will see some heavier surf. I'll talk more about that coming up. But this is what we want to focus on, because as we take you through the day and into Wednesday evening, we're going to see this come into Florida, and then eventually here's the position with the GFS over South Georgia, and the Euro has it riding right along the South Carolina coast. That's at 10 o'clock on Wednesday, and then it continues off. Both of them carry it to the east, so they both make that turn. The Euro has this thing centered out here early evening on Thursday at 6 p.m., moving away from the coast. The GFS, or the American model, keeps it still closer to the Carolina coast. So two different solutions here, two models showing how it moves along. Again, the Euro kind of carries it out. The GFS still keeps this strong onshore flow into Friday, and that's going to potentially be an issue with us. We could see some of the tides building a little bit. We could have some tidal flooding. One of the concerns that we have later in the week, Thursday into Friday, if the GFS is right. If the Euro is right, it would not be as big a deal, but I wanted to show you both those solutions. Eventually, you'll see both these things carry off to the east, and they do move away. So let's get into the official forecast and what the Hurricane Center has on this. You can see the track expected to intensify to a hurricane, becoming a Category 3 or major hurricane before making landfall in the bend there of Florida, coming across Florida up towards Georgia and riding along the South Carolina coast. This is at 8 a.m. Thursday. Then during the day Thursday, it passes just south of the Outer Banks, kind of riding up just south of Ocracoke and Buxton, and then shooting off to the east after that. That is the official forecast with the 11 o'clock update from the National Hurricane Center. So we're going to continue to watch and see how things play out with this track. It would seem that the worst of the winds, the strongest of the winds being on the right front quadrant, would stay down to the south. But with high pressure building to the north, we could get a strong, what we call a pressure gradient wind, the difference between low pressure with that storm system and high pressure building from the north. It could set up where we get some pretty strong winds across Hampton Roads. Even though the system will be centered farther to the south, I still think there's a decent chance that we could see some pretty gusty winds, certainly near the coast, as we go Thursday into Friday. So that's something that we will consider and keep a close eye to. Here's a spaghetti plot. You see how these models all keep it very, very much together and tightly packed, bringing it across Florida. So it looks like a very good chance. It's pretty much a certainty that they're going to deal with this. If it does, in fact, strengthen and come in, it looks like it will impact North Florida here and then cut off to the east-northeast. Couple of outlying models carried a little farther north. If it were to take more of that inland track, it would be more of a rainmaker than anything else for our area. But it looks like, again, most of the models in the official Hurricane Center forecast keep it down to the south. A couple other models kind of stall it out a little bit, but most of them accelerate it off. So that's a look at what's happening with Idalia. Now, the other thing that we're going to talk about, Franklin, that's going to have some impacts, but again, the worst of that will be farther offshore. So we're not worried about wind or rain with Franklin, but we will see the surf kicking up. Now, as far as the concerns with Idalia for Hampton Roads, okay, on this projected path, it looks like we could see some strong winds at the coast and over eastern North Carolina, especially the Outer Banks and the southern Outer Banks. But we're talking about winds gusting 35 to maybe 40 miles per hour, maybe a little higher than that right at the water's edge in some places. So it is possible that we could deal with some stronger winds. That would be Thursday into early Friday. And with the strong northeast and east wind, we have the potential for some moderate tidal flooding. Those numbers could be pushed up, or they may be lowered depending on how the risk looks as we get more and more information. And it's still really early, and we're talking about a system that is still trying to come together down around the Yucatan Peninsula. So plenty of time for things to change, but this is how it looks as of this midday Monday update. So we just wanted to give you that. Now, as far as Franklin goes, again, a major hurricane, Category 4 right now. It is forecasted to turn eventually to the northeast, and it'll carry off. And you can see, again, it will stay well to the east of Hampton Roads, but it's going to send out a lot of wave action, and some heavier surf and some strong rip currents will be expected along our coast as we go through the week. So surf is going to certainly build. That's something we'll watch. I'll quickly mention another wave coming off the coast of Africa has about a 40% chance of development here over the next 5 to 7 days. So that's what's happening right now in the tropics. Again, we'll be keeping a close eye on Franklin and Idalia. That's the one that has the greatest potential impacts on our area. We will, of course, keep you updated at 13 News Now.